This episode discusses a real criminal case and may contain disturbing content. All information presented in this video was obtained by publicly available sources. I do not claim to know the individuals involved, nor do I have any inside or private information beyond what has been made public. Any commentary shared is strictly my own personal observations and opinions. Viewer discretion is advised.
Some crimes happen in a moment of rage. Others unfold through a series of choices that spiral into something deadly. In 2018, a quiet Wisconsin town was shaken by a brutal stabbing that left a young man dead. The woman responsible? Ezra McCandless. Welcome back to True Crime Stories. Thank you for being here with me. Tonight's story is about the art of manipulation. This is the story of Ezra McCandless. Ezra McCandless was born October 6, 1997, to her 14-year-old mother, Rosalind Gundelson. She was born Monica K. To a single mom, she was raised the best that her mother knew how. Later, her mother would remarry or get married to Joshane Carlin, and her then stepdad would adopt her at age 4, and she would become Monica Carlin. Although the two would later divorce when she was 12 years old, Ezra remained close with her dad. Later during her high school years, she would struggle with her gender identity. She would go by male pronouns for a while, saying that she felt more masculine. It was during these years, when she was struggling with her identity, that her name would be changed. The name Ezra came from a vacation she took with family. The name McCandless, well, that came straight from a movie and a book into the wild. Ezra did attend college, but she eventually flunked out when partying was way more important than her studies. When her parents pushed her to get a job and be more responsible, she decided to leave. She then would couch surf for a little while before landing in Eau Claire in 2017. Ezra would present a facade of this struggling artist with no support from her family, when in fact, she was just lazy and entitled. She lived in a fantasy world and would romanticize everything around her. She craved attention and thrived on it. A hipster coffee shop would be where Ezra spent most of her time, taking advantage of the free Wi-Fi, seeing as though her phone would only work with Wi-Fi, and she sent her messages through WhatsApp. It would be here at the coffee shop called Racy's that she would next meet Jason Mangle. Jason was 13 years older than Ezra and a medic with the Army Reserves. Jason and Ezra would start talking, and it quickly became a very intense relationship, at least for Ezra, that is. She would describe their relationship as being magical, even saying that the connection they shared was an ancient type of love. Ezra would soon move in with Jason and his roommates, claiming that it was too expensive to get an apartment on her own, and she promised to help chip in with the rent. However, she never did. They would continue to frequent Racy's Coffee Lounge during their relationship because it was the it spot. But along with the coffee lounge, they would frequent a bar called The Joint. While at the bar one night with Jason and friends, Ezra would notice a man writing in a journal in a bar. Focused on what he was doing and not his surroundings, she would be intrigued by him, and she would approach him and strike up a conversation. This man, Alex Woodworth. Alexander Woodworth, or Alex, was 23 years old. He studied philosophy in college and worked as a substitute teacher at a local high school, as well as being a barista at Racy's Coffee Lounge. Alex was described as kind, empathetic, intelligent, caring, and was always there for anyone in need. It was around this time that Alex was applying to graduate schools, with the hope of one day becoming a philosophy professor. Alex and Ezra would become quick friends almost instantly, frequently hanging out and having deep conversations. 3 months into Ezra and Jason's relationship, Ezra would find out she was pregnant. The two would talk and mutually decide that terminating the pregnancy was the best option for both of them. The next available appointment at the clinic, however, would be October 6th, Ezra's birthday. She scheduled it anyway. After the procedure, she would experience mixed emotions. This would ultimately put a very big strain on her relationship with Jason. Jason's job would require him to go out of town often for periods of time. What once would create longing and more passion for the two of them would now create the perfect environment for Ezra to look for attention elsewhere. And she would turn her attention to Alex Woodworth. They started spending more and more time together and would get really close. It wouldn't take long for that friendship to turn into a more physical and romantic relationship by November of 2017. Her relationship would intensify with Alex and would become very experimental physically. Meanwhile, she was still very much involved with Jason. After some time during the holidays, Alex would voice his concerns about feeling like if Ezra really loved him, then she shouldn't be with Jason. They should be together. But even knowing Alex's pain that her relationship with Jason caused, she continued to be with them both. After a disagreement with one of Jason's roommates while he was away, Ezra would send Jason a text and say that the relationship was over and she was moving out. She was moving back in with her mom. Jason was obviously confused. Jason himself would have doubts and suspicion of Ezra, not just with her faithfulness, but he felt like she was lying to him. He said that He thought she was in her 20s when they met, and then it wasn't until after the relationship was going, he found out she was only 19 when they started a relationship. But anytime he would raise up concerns about her fidelity, she would basically manipulate and gaslight him and say, "You think I would cheat? Well, that's your own insecurities coming up, not mine." Jason's roommates, however, would warn him that she couldn't be trusted and tell him their suspicions of her behavior and express that they didn't want her around anymore. Jason would still have contact with Ezra, but they would just meet at hotels when she needed an escape from her mom's. Then, in early March of 2018, while Ezra was in the shower at one of their nights together, Jason would get curious and he would go through her phone. He was looking for evidence of an affair with Alex. However, what he would find instead was sexy texts between her and one of his good friends, John. Him and John had been friends for over 4 years. They were very close. So he took screenshots of the text messages and sent them to himself, and then confronted Ezra. She would first deny everything, but then after she knew he had seen the evidence, she would tell him a different version. She told him that John had taken advantage of her without her consent. Not once, but twice. The first time being February 4th, after a night out and some drinking. The next time being February 5th, the next morning. So, what does Jason do? He confronts John. John denies it. And then every time he tells him something different, John's story changes. Finally, Jason's just like, "You know what? I can't believe either one of you." Jason would confront Alex as well. Alex would apologize and tell Jason that he was sorry, but he was in love with Ezra, and he thought that she loved him back and that they could be together. Jason would then confront Ezra, but she would spin the story, and she would try to tell him that Alex had tricked her during a time when she was vulnerable. She had just had the appointment for the termination, and you weren't here. It's your fault I was vulnerable. It was your fault I got taken advantage of. Jason had enough of it, and he ended everything. Ezra blamed Alex for causing the breakup between her and Jason, and she would send him a text to never talk to her again. Meanwhile, people from Racy's would start talking. Everyone would see Ezra for the lies and the manipulative person that she was. They would even find out what she tried to do to John. You see, Jason was so concerned that he took her to the police station and she filed an actual report. Lucky for John, he had all the text messages that could prove that it was a consensual thing. And all of those charges, that case was closed because she falsely reported. Even with the blow up, even with the breakup, Jason still stayed in contact with Ezra. But things were about to take a horrible turn. On March 22nd, 2018, Jason would be in contact with Ezra that morning while she was at her dad's. He would tell her his plans, and she informed him that she couldn't go anywhere because she couldn't drive her car. Her dad had took her keys because her tags were expired and he didn't want her driving it. After that communication, Jason went on about his day. You can imagine Jason's surprise when he was sitting outside Racy's coffee shop and Ezra showed up. She went inside, got a coffee, and tipped, which is something she had never done before. Even the barista would notice that Ezra looked disheveled, no makeup, and just not herself. She was someone who always cared about her appearance, and today was just different. Jason also noticed a difference. He said he would describe her as fired up and angry. Jason said he knew that Ezra wanted to talk to Alex and talk some things through with him. And she also said she needed to return a bookmark and like a pen or something. And she said that she needed to get those to him and she wanted to basically tell him off. Jason would get an uneasy feeling and just uncomfortable about the whole interaction. I mean, Ezra was all about Jason, yet there was hardly no contact, and she was out of sorts and not herself. So he would get on his bike and he would go to Alex's house just to see. And when he got there, Ezra's car was there, still running, with the driver's side door open. After about 40 minutes or so of pacing back and forth and stressed and worried, he would turn Ezra's car off, get the keys, shut the door, and go to the apartment. The door was open a little bit, so he just stood there. While standing outside, he said he could hear bickering. And then when he went in, they told him everything was fine. So Jason told him that he thought that they should have whatever conversation they were having in a public place. And he left out. On the way out the door, the police were there. You see, in his 40 minutes of stressing and pacing, and then turning Ezra's car off and shutting her door, someone had called the police on Jason for being suspicious. So when the police show up, he's walking out, he stops and talks to them. He tells them what's going on, his concerns, and just, he lays it all out for them. As he's telling them this, Alex and Ezra would walk out of the house together, headed to her car. So the police would go over and ask them if everything was okay. And they would both say that everything was fine. So the police would leave. And Jason again would express that he thought they needed to be in public talking about this. So they told him, yeah, they were going to go to a coffee shop. I'm assuming Ezra told him this. But she didn't want to go to Racy's because she didn't want to air out all her business there. I mean, they were already talking about her. And they left. Ezra was driving. Alex was in the passenger seat. And this would be the last time Alex was seen. Fifteen seconds.
I'm County 911. What's the address of the emergency? This is Don Sipple calling, and I have a young lady that just came to my house, and somebody attacked her, and she needs a doctor. Her clothes are all torn, and what is the address you're located at? What? What is the address you are at? E7614, 430th Avenue. Okay. And is she injured? Yeah, she's injured. Her mouth is kind of got some blood around it. Her clothes are all torn. Okay. And she's by herself? She's by herself. She walked to my house here just recently.
Okay, and can you ask her what her name is?
Just hold on a second.
Okay.
What's your name, ma'am? What? You don't know? She's in kind of bad shape. She says she don't know.
Okay, let me put you on hold. Do not hang up. I'm going to start some help, okay?
Sure.
Did she say who did this to her?
Did she what?
Did she say who did this to her?
No, she said she was attacked, assaulted, and she's from Eau Claire.
Okay. And,
Yeah, tell me your name.
Did she say where this happened?
No, I didn't discuss that.
Okay.
Ezra is then taken to the ER. She has scratches and superficial wounds that are later determined to be self-inflicted, including the word boy carved into her arm. She first doesn't remember anything. Everything's fuzzy. She blacks out. And then later on, she starts remembering details. And that's when she accuses Alex of the attack. Ezra was interviewed by police, and I encourage you to go watch that full interrogation. I have a small clip of that interview that I'm going to play now.
But I mean, where are they located?
Google Docs.
I know, but where's your...
My dad's.
Okay, in Stanley?
Yep.
Okay.
But it's an online thing, so you just need my email.
Okay. All right, continue. Sorry about that.
And then, so I was journaling and checking my email to see if I had any emails from the place I started working at.
Okay.
And I had nothing, and I was watching a little bit of TV and stuff, checking on the dog and the cat, and then I showered and got dressed. And then I thought to myself, like, I'm feeling really good today and really confident, like I should go return some stuff that just kind of makes me feel sad. So I was like, I'll do that. And I was like, gonna text Jason about it, but I didn't because I thought I would see him at the coffee shop, be like, hey, you're here. But I knew he was busy doing laundry and stuff today too. So I didn't want to worry him. Not today, but that day. I didn't want to worry him much, so I knew my dad would be mad about it because he didn't want me driving because I'm currently trying to get insurance.
Okay.
And I was just feeling really good and positive and stuff.
Okay.
And I went to town and I got the stuff from the trunk and I waited for Alex to get dressed and like ready for the day so that he could come downstairs and grab his stuff. And then he suggested we talk for a little while and I said, okay, I can talk for a while because your roommate's home, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So then we weren't alone.
Okay.
I think his name's Dave.
Okay.
Dave, about kind of like just life and like how I've been feeling and like the situation we went through and stuff like that. We just kind of talked and he seemed kind of iffy about it. He seemed pretty upset still that I've been talking to Jason and stuff. But I told him like, this is how I feel and stuff like that.
Okay.
Then he wanted to talk some more because Jason's shown up. Of course he's concerned and stuff, and he's just on edge lately too.
Mm-hmm.
Life's been really hard for everybody.
Okay.
And then we were talking, and then Alex suggested we go somewhere to talk, and I said, okay, that seems okay.
Okay.
So, you know.
So, continue.
And then after that, we were talking and stuff, and I was like, I really want to go to like a park and stuff, and I just remember he keeps saying that, and then after that, my brain just starts to like.
So, all right, so you're at his house talking, you decide to go someplace to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you end up going?
I suggested we go to Owen Park, and I don't know if we actually went there or not, because I remember going to Owen Park, but I don't know if I actually got to Owen Park or not. That's the scary thing, because I remember the frog, but I don't know if that's from the other day or from...
Okay, what time of day do you think you would have been at Owen Park?
I don't know when I was there. I remember leaving the house around, I think it was 10 when I left
Your house?
the house to my dad's house. I think it was 10.
Okay. Okay. So, did you guys leave Alex's house shortly after the cops came and checked in on you guys?
Yep, because I talked to the officer and said I was feeling fine and stuff, and he said everything seemed fine.
Okay. So then you left, and what vehicle did you leave in?
It's my car.
Okay. And then who was driving?
I was driving.
Okay.
Alex would be located, and there would be no hope for reviving him. He would then be taken to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy. The investigation would be in full swing, and detectives and investigators would start piecing together what happened to Alex Woodworth on March 22nd, 2018, and just why couldn't Ezra remember anything. The knife used in this vicious attack and Alex's phone would be found in very close proximity to the dairy farmer's house that she ran to for help. Ezra would later admit that she cut up her clothes herself and made the scratches on her body, as well as carving the word boy in her arm. She would claim that she did this after the attack because she wanted to remember what had happened and never forget it. The medical examiner would testify she performed the autopsy on March 24th of 2018. She would find 16 stab wounds. 12 of those were while Alex was alive. Four of those are what she called perimortem state. He was either dying or already gone. She performed a toxicology test, and the only thing that was positive was caffeine. She ruled his cause of death as multiple sharp force injuries, and the manner, homicide. He was stabbed in the neck, head, sides, legs, shoulders, back, and in his scrotum. She testified that the head and neck stabs, as well as the scrotum stabs, are the contributing stab wounds that would be his cause of death because of the significant blood loss from each of those. She also testified that every stab wound that was administered was done so while his pants were completely up and buckled, so there was no evidence of any kind of attack. Ezra was arrested just 2 weeks following Alex's murder. April 6th of 2018, she was arrested and charged with first-degree intentional homicide. She would first plead guilty by reason of insanity. She would later change her plea to not guilty by self-defense. Ezra was held in custody at the Dunn County Jail while awaiting trial. Opening statements would begin October 15th of 2019. The trial would last 15 days. On November 1st, 2019, she would be found guilty of first-degree intentional homicide. The jury deliberations lasted just 3 hours and 17 minutes. On February 7th of 2020, she would be sentenced to life imprisonment and would be eligible for release after 50 years. This is a tragic story of a woman who wanted to have it all with no repercussions no responsibility, and admitting no remorse throughout the entire trial. She only cared of herself. Thank you all for joining me for yet another crazy story. If you haven't yet, like this video and subscribe so you don't miss any more intriguing stories. You can also send case suggestions or story suggestions to the True Crime Stories email. I've popped it up above. Thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.